This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998, Ash, and Team Valor. A massive tear in the very fabric of space hangs above our heroes like an open wound, a troubling portent, though of what exactly they are all unsure. Looking to one another, the group of friends question if anyone knows how this strange rift came to be, though unfortunately this is a dead end, as Sonic explains that it had already formed when he caught sight of it, so for all he knows it's been there for hours, and they just missed it with all the fireworks and stuff. Wisely, Amy suggests that maybe they should contact Shadow, since he might have seen something they didn't up on the Ark, though before any steps can be taken to further this plan, something new comes along to catch their attention, a figure who pounces on them from one of the Soliana rooftops, their claws extended, and a furious scowl twisting their face. Leaping back, the group see that their attacker is a lavender-furred cat, dressed in strange clothes, and with a jewel on her forehead. Diplomatic as ever, Sigma politely asks the newcomer if she perhaps bears some relation to this rift in the sky, though in a hateful but overly formal voice, she spits back that this is their doing, not hers, as the monster they unleashed on her world has now fled back here, no doubt to regroup with his allies. More perplexed than ever, Sonic cuts in, stating that he doesn't know about any monster or other worlds or whatever she's talking about, so maybe she could stop attacking them for a second and actually explain herself. However, it seems this is the last thing she wants to do, as setting her claws ablaze, she lunges at him specifically now, though thankfully, Sonic is not called the fastest thing alive for nothing, as he deftly dodges, before landing a swift kick on her back that sees her tumble forward and land on her stomach. Seeing a chance to end things, Knuckles, Mecha, Emerald, and Metal all pile on top of this stranger, leaving just her head uncovered so she can speak, as she is asked once more to explain herself. Though to everyone's frustration, even in this vulnerable position, she exudes an air of haughty disdain, ordering them to instead tell her where she can find someone called Nega, stating that she knows they know, as they are in the company of his vile machine. Assuming this means him and his family, Metal bluntly replies that they already told her they don't know what she's talking about. Though refusing to accept this, the stranger simply retorts that if they will not cooperate, she will find him herself, adding that if they attempt to impede her, she will not hesitate to destroy them. Then, a moment later, she is gone, having summoned a pillar of flame to surround herself, forcing the heroes holding her to leap back or else be scorched while she makes her escape unseen. In a troubled voice, Tails questions if any of his friends know what that was about, with the others all shaking their heads, though one thing is clear, they need to find the cat girl as quickly as possible and get some answers. Figuring the best course of action is to cover more ground, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles reform Team Sonic as they take off in the tornado, while Metal and Emerald fly off in the opposite direction. As for Amy, she plans to make good on her earlier suggestion of visiting Shadow on the Ark to enlist his help, while Sigma and Mecha see what data they can get on this spatial anomaly from the Eggman tech left on Scrapnik Island. Thanks to their race on the way to Soliana, Metal and Emerald have no trouble matching each other's speeds, so they can stay together even while traversing the skies at high velocity. As they have no evidence that she can fly, and can deduce from her fire powers and feline nature that she would not choose to be in the water, this just leaves the land, with the father-son duo circling above the Soliana castle town, since it's safe to assume she could not have retreated far. Unfortunately, this turns up nothing, as with so many people out and about, it's hard to find just one, though the same cannot be said for a very familiar vehicle floating just above the town's rooftops, that being the Eggmobile. And if it's here, that must mean the Doctor is as well. Changing course to make a beeline for the Eggmobile, Metal prepares to confront his creator, though to his surprise, what he finds inside is both Eggman and not. While he bears a striking resemblance to the corpulent scientist, several details are slightly off, such as his moustache being grey rather than russet, his glasses being triangular rather than circular, and his jumpsuit being predominantly black rather than red. Though this is not the first time the Doctor has changed his attire, having done so between their encounters on Angel Island and the original Egg Carrier, this seems different, almost reminding Metal of himself and Sonic, and so for the moment he stays his hand, instead simply glaring at the Eggman lookalike with his glowing green eyes. Nonetheless, the man is undeterred, greeting Metal like Eggman himself used to when he was in his service, though here too his voice is wrong, solidifying in the Bluebot's mind that this is not Dr. Eggman, with a 97% degree of certainty. Deeming this an acceptable margin of error, Metal demands to know who this stranger is, and why he's using the Eggmobile, to which the man answers in the same bombastic way as Eggman, that he is none other than Dr. Eggman Nega. At the word Nega, Metal's hackles raise, as he repeats his prior question, while adding another, why did the cat assailant accuse him of being Nega's ally? Still smirking that Eggman-esque smirk, Nega replies that it's because they are allies. In fact, one might go so far as to call them partners, as it's thanks to their little deal that he was able to steal these. He then shows off a series of 7 emeralds which he proudly names the Soul Emeralds, while stating that when combined with the Chaos Emeralds, they will give him unrivaled domain over space and time. Like Nega himself, these gems resemble altered reflections, this time of the Chaos Emeralds, as unlike the pointed jewels Metal is familiar with, these are flat and rectangular, though all the same they exude a sense of power, even if Metal's radar cannot detect them. More confused than ever, Metal asks how and why he supposedly helped Nega steal them, knowing he would never assist in such a goal. Though tutting slightly, the mustachioed man replies that he supposes Metal wouldn't remember, though perhaps he can ask Blaze. At these taunting words, Metal feels a high-heeled boot collide with his back that sends him bouncing over several rooftops, and upon turning to face the source, he sees none other than his cat quarry, who he can now surmise is named Blaze. Furiously, Blaze hisses that she knew Metal helped Nega steal the Soul Emeralds, as her claws ignite once more, though this time the android is ready, deflecting the attack with his black shield, before retaliating with a speedy leg sweep that sees Blaze stumble. However, having learned from her earlier fight with Sonic, she is not going down twice, and so marshals her psychic powers to stay aloft, instead converting the momentum of her stumble into a graceful arabesque back kick which sends Metal skidding back a little, though this is not without cost, as this impact also allows him to copy her life data, meaning that when she comes in for another strike with her burning claws, Metal meets her in kind, shocking the cat. In a low hiss, Blaze declares that she should have known one who would help Nega steal her world's precious gems would also be willing to steal techniques, though with an edge of frustration to his tone now, Metal protests that he has no idea what she's talking about, just as he does not know Nega. To prove his lack of ill intent, the android then attempts to break off their fight, using his speed to leap from rooftop to rooftop, so he can make his way back to Emerald who has been watching from a distance. Unfortunately to Blaze's eye, it seems as though he is attempting to regroup with his ally Eggman Nega, and so refusing to allow this, she begins tossing up pillars of flame, forcing him to slow and change course, while allowing her to gain on him, in spite of their speed difference. Thanks to his agility, Metal is able to avoid being set alight by the troublesome fire spouts, but now he is fighting against the terrain itself as well as Blaze, with the cat's tactical use of her flames beginning to corral him towards her, so they are soon face to face once more. Pouncing predatorially, Blaze attempts to once again slash at Metal with her claws, though raising an arm to take the raking blow in its place, he retaliates with a powerful uppercut which sends her flying off the roof and down towards the canal. In spite of herself, Blaze cannot help but panic as she sees the water rushing up to meet her, with this fear preventing her from focusing enough to access her psychic powers. However, before she can hear the splash or feel the wet coldness she dreads cover her entire body, she comes to a sudden stop, and looking up, she sees Metal hovering in the air, one steely hand clamped around her ankle to stop her from falling into the water. In a shocked tone, Blaze demands to know why the android would save her, to which Metal replies that he does not believe they are truly enemies, and that this is likely all a misunderstanding caused by Nega's deception, as he is an Eggman after all. From his Eggmobile, where he's been watching the entire fight gleefully, Nega taunts that he's hurt Metal would think so little of him after he went and helped him in his hour of need, though this just earns him another glare as the Bluebot orders him to stop talking in riddles, with the grey-haired doctor sneering that alright, he'll dumb it down for the machine. Metal borrowed a set of Chaos Emeralds from him, and now he has come to reclaim them. Definitely fed up with Nega now, Metal retorts that this is an obvious lie and an impossibility, though still sneering, the round man suggests that if he's so sure, why doesn't he run some diagnostics, as while his memory may have failed him, his internal systems will not have. Meanwhile, since it's clear the android does not have his emeralds, he'll just replace them with the ones inside the Gizoid, as they are more or less the same thing. Letting out a low snarl at this threat, Metal prepares to launch himself at the Eggmobile, though it seems Nega is prepared for such a reaction, attacking first as he fires a missile which strikes Metal head-on, sending him and Blaze crashing down into the street below. As this happens, the mad scientist then deploys the Eggmobile's crane function, with a large mechanical claw bursting forth to grab Emerald, before emitting an EMP pulse which temporarily stuns him. With his two objectives being an unbridled success, Nega does not hesitate to let out a gloating guffaw as he flies off, while from the ground, Metal staggers to his feet, vowing that he'll get him for this. Rising to her feet as well, Blaze states that in spite of this all but confirming the robot's role in unleashing Nega on her home, she can see that they have common cause, so for now she is willing to put her grudge aside and form a temporary alliance, if it means stopping the Doctor. Nodding his agreement, Metal urges her to climb into his arms like Amy did when he carried her, since they'll make better time if they fly, an offer that leaves Blaze rather flustered. Though oblivious to the source of this reaction, he instead offers to let her ride on his shoulders if that would be more comfortable, but she should be warned, she'd have to keep her tail and the hem of her tunic raised, since they would be incinerated if they hung behind his jet engine during flight. Huffing a little that she thinks she can manage that, Blaze chooses the latter option, as it is more dignified, climbing onto the Bluebot's shoulders and using his ear as handholds while they take off into the sky after the Eggmobile. As they fly, Metal does begin running diagnostics like Nega had suggested, if only to prove him wrong, though as this will take time, he allows it to work in the background as he radios Tails and the Tornado, informing him of their heading, since by tracking seeing the emeralds in Emerald, Metal has no trouble locating where Negi is going. Following this, he also contacts Shadow and Amy to request an update on the rift, though all they can say is that it seems to be a tear in space-time, with Blaze helpfully adding that it is the incursion point of this world and her reality known as the Soul Dimension, and that part of her mission here is to prevent them from colliding, since it is likely both dimensions will be destroyed if it isn't stopped. Resolutely, Metal promises to help her achieve this once they've rescued Emerald, with his friends all agreeing, as this is much their fight as it is hers, so that when they converge on Nega's hideout, an advanced egg carrier still bearing the Eggman Empire heraldry, they are a united front. Having expected them to come, Nega stands ready to fight inside a large, vaguely humanoid-shaped mech, which he dubs the Egg King, stating that now that he has the Gizoid as a power source, these pathetic vermin will have no chance against him. To prove this point, he opens fire with a thick red laser that seems to have a limitless supply of power, forcing the heroes to scatter, with Tails and Knuckles winding up on one side of the beam, while Sonic, Metal, and Blaze are on the other. Figuring the best thing he and Knuckles can do is play decoy, Tails tells the Echidna to help him draw the Egg King's fire, a challenge the Red Ruffian readily accepts, leaping and gliding to make himself a moving target, while Tails does likewise in his plane. This leaves the remaining trio to approach from the side, using the Hedgehog's speed and Blaze's psychic levitation to close the distance quickly and land a barrage of flaming claws and homing attacks on the thruster holding it aloft. Gritting his teeth in frustration at the impudence of these rats, Nega changes tack, swinging at the trio with his mech's heavy fists, though having dealt with the genuine article enough times, Sonic and Metal have no trouble seeing and avoiding this faker's moves, as they each leap onto an arm and dash up it, before landing simultaneous homing attacks on either side of the glass dome making of the Egg King's head. This is too much force for simple glass, with it swiftly shattering, and recognizing he's beaten, Nega attempts to flee inside his Eggmobile. However, just because this rapid ejection saves him from Sonic and Metal does not mean he is out of the woods, as from down below, Blaze snaps her fingers, causing the bubble car to burst into flames and crash back down to the deck, with Nega and the Soul Emeralds tumbling out. Rushing over, Blaze wastes no time in gathering up the gems, while Sonic pounces down to land on Nega's back so he cannot flee, and Metal leaps into the abandoned frame of the Egg King to pull Emerald to safety, and remove the wires connecting him to the awful mech. And so it seems the day is saved, though one problem still remains, the space-time rift, with Nega cursing them as a pack of fools, since all they've accomplished is ensuring he dies alongside them, as with the Chaos and Soul Emeralds stuck in the same dimension, their natural magnetic pull will force their native dimensions to overrun and destroy each other. Logical as ever, Metal suggests that Blaze simply use the Soul Emeralds to go home then, since that should fix the issue, though with a sheepish expression, the Lavender Cat admits that while she is the guardian of the Soul Emeralds, she does not know how to harness their power, and came here because the Emeralds summoned her, not because she chose to, as she might have led them to believe. This puts quite a dampener on the group's mood, though surprisingly, it is Knuckles who provides moral support, being able to relate to Blaze's situation, and so suggests they try using the Master Emerald, since if these Soul Emeralds are a mirror of the Chaos Emeralds, maybe the Master Emerald will boost their power rather than neutralize it. Figuring it's worth a shot, the group agree, with Metal offering to head for Angel Island at once, though smirking slightly, the Echidna replies there's no need, as he brought the Master Emerald with him when he left for the festival, in case that thieving bat decided to use his time away to try and steal it. Calling this good thinking, Sonic urges Knux to bring it out, with the Fistfighter doing exactly that, as he allows the Master Emerald to grow to its full size, while as the only one who can channel its power, Metal lays a hand upon the green gem. A moment later, Super Metal is reborn in all his golden glory. Looking deep into Blaze's eyes, Metal tells her to feel the power of her emeralds, and will that power to become her own. Closing her eyes, Blaze does her best, thinking of her home, and all the people she needs to do this for, with this lighting a 7-colored flame inside her. However, this is not her own flame, but something greater than her, that will surely engulf her if she does not learn to master it, with her fear mounting as she considers the enormity of her task, and the price of failure. At once, Blaze feels the fires lick at her, seeming to feed on that fear. Though marshalling all her willpower and psychic energy, she instead draws it all inside herself, feeling it make her stronger, until she can no longer tell what is her and what is the flame. And it is at that moment that she realizes the distinction is irrelevant. The flame is her. With this epiphany comes an even greater vista of power, so that when she opens her eyes, Blaze sees that she is transformed. Most notably, her fur now possesses a bright pink coloration, though more than that, magenta flames burn on her wrists and ankles, reminding her of the flame that she has made her own. Looking her squarely in the eye, Metal asks the cat if she is ready, and upon receiving a resolute nod, the pair take flight, soaring upwards and into the rift. What they find is unlike anything they have ever seen, a seemingly infinite void of yellow and pink, almost as if to symbolize the two worlds' respective superstates. Though knowing they cannot remain intertwined like this, Metal and Blaze do what they must, joining hands and channeling their chaos and soul energy into their palms. heroes. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, the duo feel it, the rift collapsing, as they are suddenly pulled away from each other, back into their own dimensions, this move having been enough to reverse the polarity and drive their worlds apart. Knowing this may well be the last time they ever see each other, Blaze apologizes for misjudging Metal and his friends, calling them true heroes, though with an understanding nod, the Blue Bot tells her to think nothing of it, and to use what she has learned to look after her world until the day they meet again. Then, without another word, their fingers slip away from each other, and the rift closes between them. Back on the egg carrier, Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and Emerald look up at the hole as it begins to fade, turning the sky back to normal, though while they all share similar contented expressions, Nega has nothing but panic in his eyes as he starts fading as well. Tauntingly, Sonic asks if Nega's afraid of the consequences waiting for him back home, though with a terrified splutter, the man replies that that's the problem, he no longer has a home. Sonic and his compatriots destroyed it, so now there's no way of knowing when or where he will be sent, assuming he isn't simply erased as a temporal anomaly. It's like he said before, they've doomed him. Hearing the genuine terror in the mad scientist's voice, Sonic cannot help but want to save him, and so lifts his foot from Nega's back as he reaches down to take his hand, hoping this will be enough to anchor him to this world. However, before the hedgehog's fingers can close around the humans, he vanishes, cast off to parts unknown, and as Sonic stares at the place where he just was, a sense of regret washes over him. A moment later, Metal touches down, quickly reverting to his base form so that Knuckles can reclaim the Master Emerald, while Sonic, Tails, and Emerald crowd around him to give their congratulations and recount Nega's final words. Nodding wearily, Metal states that while this does bear further thought, right now, all he wants to do is go home and rest, an idea everyone is in favor of, with Team Sonic taking off in the tornado, while Emerald asks his dad if he's up for another race. However, before he can reply, a ping sounds inside his head, signaling the completion of the diagnostic he had initiated earlier, and as he scans the results, not expecting to find anything out of the ordinary, he is instead met by some highly troubling information. Somehow, his systems display signs of having recently endured several powerful bursts of chaos energy, the likes of which only occur when he or someone around him activate chaos control. This should not be physically possible considering the Emerald's role inside Emerald, though what is just as shocking is the fact that when cross-referenced against his memory banks, he finds no record of these events, meaning Nega was telling the truth, at least in some capacity, and if he was being honest about Metal's memory having gaps, what else might he have been right about? And that's where we'll leave things for now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts, suggestions, or screams of rage in the comments below.